Mowing seems simple enough. You just turn the mower on and go back and forth across the lawn, trimming it down and making it look a little bit more tidy. The fact of the matter is a lot of people, like a ton of people, hate mowing the lawn. Some of them just don't like physically doing it. It's just really annoying and hard to them. A lot of other people just think it's terrible for the environment. Some people are perfectly fine mowing the lawn, but they just find it to be a big waste of their time and money getting the job done. You got to buy gas, you got to spend time out there doing it. It's just annoying to a lot of them. But I'm here to tell you that mowing really isn't that big of a deal. It can be a lot cleaner and a lot shorter of a process, a lot easier of a process than you might even realize. And certainly it can be far better for the environment than many people make it out to be. Let me explain some of these concepts because obviously I'm a little bit biased. I cut my grass fairly regularly, but I do slant toward a lot of these complaints much more than the vast majority of people realize. First and foremost, one of the biggest reasons that people just don't like cutting the grass is because they let the grass grow really tall for a long time, and then they go out there and they try to hack it way down close to the ground so that they don't have to mow the lawn very often. It's literally only hard to mow the grass when you let it grow tall and you cut it down way close to the ground. Not only is it physically difficult on you, it's also physically difficult on the mower itself. So whether you're running a battery-powered mower or a gas-powered mower or a push-reel mower or, I don't know, like a sickle just like hacking away at the ground, if you let that grass grow super tall and then you cut it close to the ground, it's just physically hard. I wouldn't want to do that either. And that's the reason that I cut my grass regularly. But you don't have to cut it as regularly as me. You can still cut the grass not very often. Just don't cut the thing down to the ground and then don't wait 3 weeks for it to grow 1.5 feet tall. Find some sort of middle ground. Let's say you put the lawnmower up on the highest setting it could possibly go to, which is usually around 4 inches. That gives you easily about 7 to 10 days of growth before you can go and cut the grass again, and you're still not cutting that much off all at once. It's still a very easy job to get through, and you don't even have to mess with bags. You can find yourself a mulching lawnmower. Most people have mulching lawnmowers, or at least the ability to cut the grass and not bag it. The thing is, when you let your grass grow exceptionally tall, there's just too much grass to just mulch those clippings right back into the lawn, which means you have to throw a bagger on it or a side discharge chute on it, and you're throwing dust everywhere, and you're filling up bags and dumping them into the trash, and it's just messy, and you're sweating because everything is hard, and you're in the middle of the summer, and it just sucks. Not only that, but when you cut that grass super low, then that means that you're cutting the grass. If you let it grow tall all the time, and then you cut it super low, you're cutting into the stems of the grass, not the leaf blades. The stems are more of it's not exactly a woody material, but it certainly is fibrous, and it's much more hard. It's just tougher down near the bottom, and the lawnmower can tell the difference very easily. So even when you cut it down low through the stems, at the end of the job, even though it's very difficult, let's say you get the whole thing all cleaned up, you're left with no leaf tissue on top of your lawn. You've just got stems and crowns, so it's kind of like got this brown haze to it, and then you just let it go for a few more weeks, and finally you're like, oh, it looks green again, except for it's 1 foot tall. So then the process repeats itself over and over. Essentially, if you wait like 3 to 4 weeks to cut your lawn, it's simply more physically intensive. It's not pleasant. It's not enjoyable. Nobody wants to do that. I don't want to do that. If you cut that grass more frequently, but at the tallest setting that your lawnmower allows, it's literally going to be a very simple process. Much cleaner, much faster, less physically intense, and your lawn's actually going to look a lot better. If you do hate mowing the lawn, then I want to encourage you to try an experiment. Set your lawnmower on the highest setting possible. Take the bag off. Make sure that you're just cutting the grass once a week at the highest setting possible and mulching the clippings right back into the lawn. If you do that, mowing the grass is going to be a simple, short, easy process, especially if you do it in the early morning when temperatures are, let's call it moderate. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to walk back inside after cutting the grass, and you're like, wow, I barely even broke a sweat. Now, if you also hate mowing the lawn or other people mowing the lawn with gas-powered mowers, then I would really encourage you to just go buy like a really cheap, inexpensive battery-powered mower. I use battery-powered mowers all the time. They work just fine. In fact, The entire 2021 season, I used mostly just a little 14-inch Works lawnmower. It didn't, I don't know what the price was, but I don't know, somewhere around $200 or so. It doesn't matter what the price was. You can get any brand on the smallest, like entry-level unit that they make, and they're going to be very affordable, and they will still cut the grass. Now, you're not going to be able to cut down 15 inches of grass and mulch it all really well on the lowest setting. But if you're cutting the grass once every 7 to 10 days on the highest setting, they're going to do just fine. You're not going to be burning any gas. There's not going to be any fumes. You don't have to deal with oil or carburetors or any of this sort of air filters. Not only that, but these lawnmowers, they're not loud. You can mow them in the early morning. You can mow them late at night. You can mow them you could mow your lawn every single day of the week, and hardly anyone in your neighborhood would even notice. And you're not spending any extra funds on gas. Now, I also understand that a lot of people out there don't really think that the batteries in these things are environmentally friendly either. Now, I'm comfortable with them, but if you are in that camp that doesn't like the batteries, push reel mowers are amazing. In fact, they're actually better for your grass than a rotary mower. You can get push reel mowers and buck the trend of cutting your grass with a reel mower on the lowest setting possible because they're not necessary. Push reel mowers frequent, I mean, even the cheapest ones that you've got at your local big box store, are going to go up to around 2.5 inches or so. Put that thing up on the highest setting possible. Now, you're not probably going to be able to go every 10 days between mowings on those things. But if you take a reel mower and you set it to the highest setting possible, maybe you could push 5 to 7 days per mowing session, and you're going to get fantastic exercise out of it. Obviously, you're not going to be burning any fuels. You make very little sound. You're not using batteries that need to be disposed of at some point in the future in a weird sort of way. It's a very environmentally friendly thing to do. If you go out jogging every day for exercise or some other thing, you might as well push a push reel mower around your lawn. Now, personally, I use battery mowers. I think that they are the way to go for the vast majority of lawn owners in this country. They are significantly lighter than gas-powered counterparts. Like the cheap entry-level battery mowers are lighter and easier to push around than the cheapest entry-level gas units. And the biggest, most fancy gas-powered lawnmowers are way heavier than the biggest and most fancy battery-powered lawnmowers. They're just easier to push around. So if you're doing it regularly on the highest setting, no matter what mower you use, it's just easier to manhandle around your yard. For me, I got about a 2,500 square foot yard. It's probably roughly an average size yard for, I don't know, people in the country. Urban places tend to have much smaller yards. Rural places tend to have bigger yards. On average, 2,500 is pretty good. If you consider this brown patch back here on the hill that I'm going to be putting some low-maintenance grass that I'm not going to have to mow very often, it'll go up to a little over 4,000 square feet, but it's still not that large. I can mow my 2,500 square feet in 20 minutes flat, start to finish. That's not that big of a deal, especially considering the fact that I won't be mowing that lawn up there more than probably once every 2 weeks once the grass comes in. The reason that it's so easy and that I don't break a sweat doing this is simply because I don't ever let my grass get overgrown. I don't scalp my grass down into the stems. I don't have to deal with bags for the vast majority of the mowing sessions that I do unless I want to bag it for certain reasons. A lot of times I'll bag grass clippings to use them as mulch in the garden, but that's my own personal thing. Not everyone does that. The thing is, the way that I mow the lawn, it's just easy. Everything looks better. Everything is healthier, and it's not hard. I have mowed overgrown grass before. It's a terrible experience, and it gets quite messy, and then I'm always sweaty and nasty at the very end of the job. It's not fun. If you hate mowing the lawn, then I believe that you, as a lawn owner, should at least try an experiment. Just an experiment. Find a friend. I don't know, jump on Facebook and query your friends. Do you have a battery-powered lawnmower? Can I borrow it? Borrow someone's. Don't go out to the store and buy something for an experiment. Borrow a neighbor's and use it on your lawn. Here's my son right here. Come on over here, man. Sit down. Borrow that thing. Take it over to your lawn. Commit to mowing your lawn one time every week for a month on the highest setting possible, and don't bag the clippings. Just mulch them right back into the lawn. When you do this, I don't know, pick a weekend, a day off. Do it in the morning. In the summer, it gets hot, and it's not pleasant to do this when it's 90, 95 degrees outside. And if you do this by the very end of the month, your lawn is literally going to look significantly better. And my guess is the physical hours of work in your lawn, even though you've done it 4 times as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 times, you are not going to feel like you expended an enormous amount of effort doing this job. Most entry-level battery-powered lawnmowers don't cost that much. You can probably very easily find something on the very low end for about $200, $250 from just about any brand that you can find down in that price range. And they're all going to work just fine, but only if you're mowing regularly on a tall setting. My Works mower that I talked about before, the little cheap thing that I used, I'm able to pump it up in the air. I love that mower. I love that mower just as much as the mowers that cost me 3 to 4 times as much money. But again, it's simply because I mow with it regularly. There's too many syllables there. If you end up saying, it's not for me, I'm just going to keep on mowing every 2 to 3 weeks once the grass gets up a little bit past my knees and everyone's annoyed at me. If that's going to be you, then that's fine. That's okay. But what are you going to do with those grass clippings? An awful lot of people just throw the bagger on the mower, collect them, and just chuck them into the trash. Maybe you're lucky and you've got a yard waste collection service from your local waste management trash picker-upper company. But I'd encourage you, if this applies to you, don't just throw those clippings in the trash. There are lots of different uses for those clippings and things that are far better for the people in your community, the environment, your own family. There's many other things that you can do with those clippings than just throw them into the trash. I have a short video series that I filmed with a handful of friends of mine in the lawn care community about what you can do with those bagged clippings if you end up having way too many and you got to throw them into a bag. I hope you'll give the series a watch. They're very short videos, because if you hate mowing, but yet you know that those bagged clippings that you're going to get from the mowing session are going to go to use in your own property, then that chore is easier to justify in your own mind. I know it is, because there's lots of other chores that I don't like doing, but there are side benefits to doing them, so it makes it easier to get the job done. Make sure to watch the introduction to that series. The video is linked right up here in the corner of your screen, right up over the top of my son's head. You can also find links to that series down in the description below. And for what it's worth, I only mow approximately 5% of the entire land that I have here on my property. If you hate mowing, consider shrinking the size of your lawn space.